Good evening, Lions Nation. Welcome to Roar Time, the Columbus Lions Coaches Show. Back after a brief hiatus for Memorial Day weekend with head coach and director of football operations Jason Gibson, your host Rick Jacobson. We hope all of you had an excellent holiday break. And Coach, what did you do with yours?
Went to the beach. Went to the beach with my kids and dragged a ton of stuff up and down the beach all day long. So I don't know what kind of vacation that is, but whatever.
Those of us in professional sports find that there are rare opportunities to spend quality family time, and you got both quality and quantity?
Yeah, I got a bunch of them. So Gunner, Jet, and Steel. So it was fun. It was fun. It's good to spend with them, and now that the summer's out, they get to hang out with me, and I get to hang out with Jet all week long and go to practice, stuff like that. So it's fun.
The interesting thing, folks, as we did not have a show last week, we were actually in a break between two games against a common opponent.
Right.
And they are the defending league champion Carolina Cobras, who the Lions will take on this Saturday night, June 1st at 7 o'clock. A little reflection on the somewhat poor game we played up in Greensboro.
Yeah, I mean, good news, bad news. Good news is defense is good as we advertised. Our defense is real good. You look at the stats. He only threw 2 touchdown passes. I think he had 120. They only had 124 yards passing. They just didn't do much on offense. And we played well defensively. We always have. The problem was, we just had issues with Andre Walker being suspended, so he didn't play at left guard. So we had to start a rookie at left guard, and we played pretty poor. When you're going against Steve Miller and Savon Pittman and those guys on their defensive line and Walter Thomas, you can't have some rookies out there at guards, and it cost us. We had a lot of pressure. They had 4 defensive touchdowns, man. I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen 4 defensive touchdowns, and it was all blocking. It wasn't any kind of, trust me, it wasn't any kind of scheme. It was just they got to the quarterback, and we made some poor throws.
You know, I can't help but remember at the end of last year when Steve Miller and Savon Pittman stood in there, it was at the outskirts, and said in front of you and me they'd be back this year. How is it that they did not re-sign with Columbus but with opposition Carolina?
Oh, yeah, that's no big deal. They probably wanted to change the scenery from Columbus. You know, they're good guys. They wanted to come back. You know, we had some housing issues last year with moving guys around. It was really a bad year all the way around. The fact that we even made it to the championship game last year is a pure miracle.
They were a big part of it, of course.
And they were a big part of it, but we just had a lot of issues. And I think they wanted to go to Carolina. Was probably a little more stable, at the time as far as all the housing. Of course, we got it all corrected this year. So, it was good for them. It's not a big deal. I mean, honestly, to be honest with you, we've upgraded on. I mean, those are good guys, but this D-line I've got is as good as I've ever seen. I mean, they're pretty good. So it was a lot going on in the offseason. So it was good for them. They're great guys. Steve and Savon are great guys. But that game, just from an offensive standpoint, I mean, there's times Luke got hit 17 times. 17 times. And it was a good by their defensive line. And, Walter's really good, and Savon's good, and Steve's good. And, I love those guys. I respect those guys.
While the final score was 60-32, the Lions were in it till very late in the fourth quarter. You mentioned the problems on the offensive line. Seemed as if we had some red zone goal line.
Well, one or two of them is our fault. One of them is the officials' fault, and it's ironic. The first interception of the game, because it was 6-0 them, and we get the ball, we intercept them, we got the ball in the 5. They know this, so I'm not making this up. I'm not a bitter coach. They know this because the league found it, and you can even see the coach from Carolina. They know it too because you can see it on film because they were yelling at their players. But they switched their linebackers, which is legal. That is legal. But what's illegal is they blitzed their jack on the pass that we threw an interception. So it's illegal defense, and I challenged it. But the problem was the officials said that the quarterback pumped the ball. Which means once the quarterback pumps the football, it releases all illegal defenses. But that's not what I challenged. They looked at the wrong thing. I never challenged that the MAC linebacker was out of the box in a pump. When you snap the ball, the jack blitzed. The wrong linebacker blitzed. It's plain as day. Everybody saw it. That's huge. That's not that's a judgment call. Was it pass interference? Was it not pass interference? Was it holding? That's not that. That is a blatant standing right in front of the umpire, the wrong linebacker, the snap blitz. Now, did it lose us the game? No, we couldn't protect.
But at that moment, the fan watching the game, what happened that you could not persuade the referee to make the correct call?
They're idiots. I mean, how do you stand there? I mean, the league took care of it, so it is what it is. I've never challenged a judgment call. I've never sat there and yelled at officials about pass interference and holdings because you can't. You know, you don't challenge that. When it is a basic, simple rule, and you're standing there looking at it, and the wrong guy blitzes right off the snap, then you challenge it with a red flag, and you're looking at it on a camera, and you still can't see it.
Does the referee at that point tell you, I blew it, coach?
Or, they're never going to say it there,
but
they tell you the next game.
Okay.
Doesn't do any good. Now, does it swing the game? Do we go in and score, make it 7-6 instead of them intercepting it and going up 12-0? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? It didn't cost us the game. It changes the outcome of the game, but we couldn't score inside the red zone anyway, regardless. We probably still would have lost that game because we couldn't protect.
Do you feel that subtly there may be make-up calls later in a game like that?
There was a make-up call later in the game. There was a play that I challenged linebacker out of the box that he intercepted. That was really iffy. Maybe they gave it back to me. So it all evens itself out. But from a red zone standpoint, we struggled. We struggled. We won't struggle this week. I can promise you that.
Well,
but for that game, they did a good job, and we were on the 1 yard. They had 4 defensive touchdowns, Rick. I've never seen that.
That is truly amazing and swung the game in a big way.
Yeah.
In a big way. Now, what sorts of changes have you made in preparation in this bye week? And can you talk a little bit not only about the roster changes, but the positives you saw on the offensive side?
Well, the positives in the game is this. Paris Mack's fastest receiver in the league. And you can't cover him if we have time to throw.
That's right.
That's the issue. They knew that. That was a good scheme because, if I'm a DB, I'm just going to sit back and wait knowing that we couldn't protect. Of course, now we get Andre Walker back off league suspension, so he comes back, so that shores up the one side. Of course, we had some additions we'll talk about in a little bit. But offensively, I like what Paris can do. He's a problem for anybody to cover. Sanders continues to impress. They're all rookies. They're doing a great job, and Bones had a great week of practice this week. So there's a lot of positives out of it. I think offensively, look at the stats. As poor as we played, if you look at the stat sheet, you would have thought we won the game.
How is it that Bones Bagante's production was much more level than it had been in previous games? Was it a poor game, or was he just simply thrown to less?
I was just thrown too less. Maybe I wasn't utilizing Bones sometimes the way I should to. We actually got a lot of good receivers on our football team. You can't just sit there and throw the ball to one guy every time, and that's not really it. Look, you can draw up any play you want to draw up on a piece of paper, and you can run this play and you can run that play. If you can't protect, they don't matter. And you sit there and say, "Oh, you should have called this," or "What if we do this?" That doesn't matter. If the quarterback's taking one step, getting hit in the mouth, there is no plays. And then that's kind of what happened.
Well, tell us about the roster move you made to bolster the offensive line and what happens now with a different approach.
Well, I'm not going to say too much because then you find out in the game.
Sure.
But, of course, with Walker coming back, that's huge. We made an addition this week to add up. We're going to continue to upgrade that position. I'm going to continue to keep pushing to make some improvements on the offensive line. And get that better. We made a huge pickup with Cameron Petway, a fullback.
That's what I was alluding to. Our viewership knows something about Cam. When he left the team a year ago, it was largely because we had Quavon Hicks, the leading.
Well, we had Quavon, and the Green Bay Packers called him.
Right.
So, he was heading to Carolina to play in that game, and Cameron got called to go to the Packers, and so he spent some time in Green Bay. Then he came back home. I reached out to him. And Cameron's he's gonna be something to be reckoned with. You're first team All SEC.
What was he doing that we didn't have him available for training camp, for example?
He just had some things he was tying up. I just couldn't get him here in time. It just wasn't the right time. And that happens a lot of times with players. And he's got a great. First of all, that's what people don't know about him. He's a great guy. You talk about meeting a first class individual. He's first class. Is very family oriented, which I like. That fits into our philosophy here in Columbus. Great wife, great family. He has his priorities in order. He knows what he wants. He knows what comes first in his life. I like that, and I think that's going to rub off on everybody else, which we already have a good core of players.
Petway, Montgomery, Prattville area?
Yeah, Prattville. I remember watching him about, 6-7 years ago at the Prattville Central game. when they beat Central that night.
He had a stretch where he was a powerful leading running back for Auburn.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. So we're going to be able to use that in the red zone and take advantage of some things that we hadn't been able to do before and really make him a threat.
That's great to have. You know, in some of the Lions' best years in our history, a powerful running back, while not a big part of the arena game, can really help, especially in that goal line first and one.
Well, even throughout the field, because I'm going to use him throughout the field. It's no secret. It doesn't matter to me if they know it or not. I mean, he's going to run the ball, and you're going to have to prepare for it. If you just tuck your ears back and blitz, it's easy for the D-line because they don't have to worry about anything. Now you better worry about, all right, if I run past this guy, they're going to flip it to him because I might, and they know I will. And so I've got a lot of things built in this week for him. And if you name it, I'm done figured out a way to get him the rock.
Now, one of the local young men on your team, Austin Hester, Columbus High School, Shaw High School rather, at Georgia Military College. How's his progress coming along?
He's getting better. I mean, he's a young guy. He's only 21 years old. He's learning. Wasn't his best game last game against Carolina. They got after him pretty good. Wasn't good for him, and he knows that. But he'll work hard and get better. And we all have to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. But he's got the ability. He's got the mentality. I like him personally. I like him professionally. And we're just going to keep working with him and building him up. We
will pause momentarily for our first commercial break, but when we come back, we have some interesting news about an exciting Saturday, June 1st set of promotions. I'm sure you are stoked for what you're going to be able to tell the folks about, right, while maybe not identifying the key person. But let's take a moment to watch a few commercials from our fine Roar Time sponsors. See you right after the break.
USAA gives me the peace of mind and the security just like the Marines did. At one point I did change to a different company with car insurance and I was not happy with the customer service. We have switched back over and we feel like we're back home now. We're the Williams family and we're USAA members for life.
Don't you buy no ugly truck. Get the Rivertown Buick GMC.
Get 0% financing for 72 months on new GMCs.
Get out that ugly truck and into this.
New Sierra 2500 HD with 0% 60-month financing. Tell them where, Smack.
Rivertown Buick GMC.
Rivertown Auto Mall on Whittlesey Road in Columbus. RivertownBuickGMC.com.
Don't you buy no ugly truck.
Thanks, Dr. J. My back feels so much better. Now tell me where I can go for my headaches.
Really? You don't need to go anywhere else. That's what we do.
Well, what about my shoulder?
That's what we do.
Pinched nerve?
That's what we do.
Well, what about disc problems?
That's what we do.
Sciatica?
With almost 500,000 patient visits over the last 34 years, don't just take my word for it. Ask a friend.
Call Dr. J. Broadwin and Associates today.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's edition of Roar Time, the Columbus Lions Coaches Show. And now you get to see the versatility of head coach Jason Gibson as he goes into his favorite part of our shows.
My English teacher would be proud. That was terrible in high school.
Yeah, and of course, Jason himself, those who may know or not know, was a Spanish teacher in the high school level.
Yo hablo en español un poco. All right,
here we go.
Jordan's Girls Gourmet Dogs, my favorite eating spot of the Columbus Lions, home of the Lions Big Dog, half-pound Black Angus, beef long. Drop by the corner of 8th Street and Veterans Parkway. They're open Mondays through Fridays 11 to 5, Saturdays 11 to 4. Make sure you guys go in there and see Natalie. Sprague Supply. The crew of Sprague Supply Incorporated pride ourselves in providing customers with the best quality parts and personal service with fast access to an inventory of over 400,000 parts. An ASE certified parts specialist always there to help. It's no wonder why so many do-it-yourselfers count on Napa Auto Parts to keep them running. They got 3 locations: Columbus, Alexander Street, Phoenix City to 280 Bypass in Auburn on Opelika Road, and also my guys at Motor Acceptance. 1-800-NEW-RATE?
Yes.
See, I've got that memorized now because I noticed so much and I see the sign. Are you trapped in a title pond? Lower your interest rates, lower your payments, and get up to $1,000 in cash with Motors Acceptance Corp. in Columbus, Georgia. Just call 1-800-NEW-RATE and lower your payments today.
Okay, we'll come back with some more of those later. We love our sponsors. You know, Roar Time is made possible largely through these sponsorships, and they're all part of the big family of advertisers, season ticket holder, and group outing clients that make Columbus Lions football possible. Professional sports in Columbus is very beholden to a great group of advertisers, and we have some very special people who sponsor this particular show. Well, back to football. We've got action at the Civic Center Saturday, June 1st. It's exciting because we are introducing something, debuting what has become a tradition in many NFL cities. How about you making the announcement?
Well, it's your idea. It's your thing.
I'm kind of a historian or archivist, you could say, with a long background in minor league baseball and hockey, and taking a little bit of a cue of what I've seen from those sports. Always hoped that we could honor all our former Lions and many greats that you have signed and developed and gone on to terrific lives as well as careers. Bringing them back for a Legends type weekend, and especially beginning a Ring of Honor, something that I remember first from the Dallas Cowboys, and now, how many teams would you say in the NFL have one?
I would say all of them have some kind of Ring of Honor, and we've got some really rich history with arena football, with our longevity, and I think it was about time. We've always talked about it. You know, this will be the first year we've ever done it. I'm sure there might be some hiccups here or there, but I'm just excited to get it going, get some banners hung in that arena, let everybody know that's where we play, and honor the ones that have walked that path before. And I'm really excited. It's going to be a great day Saturday. We got some player cards of him. We're going to do a little intro at halftime, drop the banner at halftime. We've invited some old players back. You know, I think this year, next year we'll really blow it all out of the water. But this year, let's just get this thing going and see how it turns out.
Secretive as to the identity of the inductee, but what were you looking for as you thought about who really deserved to be first?
Well, I mean, there's two guys that jump out. I mean, well, no, there's two or three that jump out immediately, and really, I think, when you think of the Columbus Lions, you think of two people, outside of me, and from a player standpoint. And we chose the one that kind of retired first, and the second one will come later once, because he played a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. Kind of like maybe how they do with the Hall of Fame, I'm not sure. But, when you think of Columbus Lions, you think of him. And, there's a lot of great, I look back and I'm smiling because I think of all of the road trips, the conversations, the practices. He was a great practice player. I give him that. He was a great practice player. He loved to practice, and it's hard to find players like that. Football's not an easy sport. That's why a lot of people don't play it. A lot of people don't excel in it because practice stinks, man. For some, not for me. I mean, I've been doing practices now for 35 years as a player and all the way now, but practice is hard. He came every day, man. He couldn't wait to practice.
Wow, that's truly amazing. When you think about the soreness you must undergo and how I could see very easily this being a profession where someone would want a few days off between action.
Well, yeah, because it's not like baseball or basketball. I mean, you practice, but you get to play, 50, 60, 70 games in basketball or 82 games in basketball. In baseball, you play 162. So you play a lot more than you practice. Football is the only sport where you practice a whole lot more than you play, and you don't get there any opportunities. And they had that kind of dedication that he has to come in day and day out. Plus, he was a great player, and he changed the game. I mean, he was a good one.
You hear about sometimes you may call them prima donnas in the NFL who simply won't practice or their team will accommodate them. I mean, I'm not saying he's necessarily one, but isn't Julio Jones a player that does not practice 100% of the time?
I don't know anything about Julio Jones. That starts with a J.
Yeah, but just the idea that you find a guy so dedicated to the business to make it every day, some of them coming from out of town, rarity, and to have enough players to have
this is ironic you say that. It's called work. People go to work every day. I mean, you want a paycheck, you go to work, and practice is part of work. So is it rare to have somebody want to go to work in this time and day and age? Yes, it is. In our day and age, no. So.
Lunch bucket brigade.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I recall, Jason, that there have been times that you bemoaned the fact that a certain X number of players were unable to make it on a nightly basis, so you couldn't have a legitimate, decent practice.
Yeah, and they're not here anymore.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
That's kind of how the world works, right?
Well,
don't go to work, don't get paid. All right.
Wanted to take a moment to take a look at a little bit of jumbled league standings and what happened last weekend as we were off. What a ball game! The Orlando Predators coming from what seemed to be almost nowhere with new players and upsetting.
I mean, I got to tell you, they get beat 66-7 or something by Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, as a coach, I'm probably not preparing as hard as I want to prepare for that game because you see it. And then they came in and just new players, great receivers, and wow. I mean, they just put a shellacking. I mean, they dropped 74 points on Carolina and probably could have dropped 80. Now, that's a lot. I mean, they ran them down that field like, I mean, it was crazy to watch that game.
Tight final score, 72-69 up in Greensboro. Orlando's a few weeks off on our schedule, but does this make them, in your view, a contender for the top as much as anyone else?
No, I mean, I see things different because I'm in management. I see it good for the league. That's great. I don't care if it's Carolina or Jag. I don't care who got beat. Mm-hmm. To see a 1-5 team beat a first-place team shows that anybody can win in our league at any time. It's not about Orlando and Carolina. And if you think it's about that way, then you're an idiot. Yeah, I love saying that, but you just don't see the big picture. And then you turn around and you have Mass beat New York. So it starts jumbling everything up. It makes it exciting, and that's what this business is about. We are in the business of entertaining people, period. And football is an entertainment sport. And when you have games like that, good games that go back, if nobody wants to, that game we had last week, and we get out there and we can't pass pro, and we throw 4 picks, and nobody wants to watch that. People turn it off by the third quarter. That's my fault, and I got to fix that. That's not good for the league. I got to make sure that we're putting on, a down-to-the-wire game as well. So those issues I got to fix on my end. But from a league standpoint, the 2 games this weekend, fantastic.
The way it leaves things actually means that only Jacksonville has as few as 1 loss. They're on top at 4-1 at the moment. Right behind them, Carolina and the New York Streets at 3-2. And then the Lions at 4th place at 2-3 currently. Behind us, Massachusetts 2-4, Orlando 2-5. Tight league, parity.
Well, yeah, anybody can beat anybody, and just like last year, we lost the last 5. We jump out in the beginning, we're 8-2, or 8-3, or whatever. So it just doesn't mean anything. It's a long season. We got 9 straight games left, and how you play those last 9, anything can happen. I love being a part of that league. It would be no fun right now if Orlando was so horrific that they went, 66-3 again, because everybody's going to look at the schedule and nobody's going to want to come to that game. But Ben Bennett's a great coach. He was my coach a long time ago. Brian Hicks, who we traded to Orlando, is tearing it up, set the league record for touchdown passes with 9.
Oh, wow, 9
touchdowns. He threw 9 touchdown passes. That is insane that he threw 9 touchdown passes.
Has anyone ever thrown 10 in the arena game?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But the fact that Carolina gave up 9 touchdown passes, they got after it. And then Massachusetts turns around and scores 70 points on New York. But that's what arena football is about. I'm so happy for the league, and I don't mean disrespect to any other teams. They'll probably take it that way, but that just is what it is. But from a league standpoint, that's what you want. That's how players make more money. That's how coaches make more money. That's how it all works together. And I'm just excited because now, when you look on the schedule, anybody can win on any day.
Given that home field advantage is still there and important, I know that you want to go 1,000 or lose no more than 1 home game a year. With Carolina coming in and then going on the road for 3 straight, this is a biggie, is it not?
Well, the whole month of June's big, and you got to win your home games. If you're going to be in the playoffs, you have to win at home.
We owe Carolina one. They've drubbed us in the championship game, of course, with all the injuries, and then last road game, beat us fairly soundly. But coming in here, what do you like best about what we've got, how we've armed up for them for this particular match?
I see the end game. I can see the finished product. For me, for our team, when I look at, Jacksonville's a good team. Let's just talk about Jacksonville, in my opinion. This stuff only matters to me, so don't take it personal. Jacksonville's got a good team. They're not going to get much better. They've already peaked to an extent. And they'll continue to get sharper with the players they have. But I don't see a huge, there's not a lot of areas where they're going to go, we can really, really upgrade here and get that much better. Us, on the other hand, I got a whole bunch of rookies that never played together. I got a pretty stout defense, and statistics don't lie. And offensively, Luke's leading the league in almost every offensive category, and we're playing terrible. That's what's scary, is how bad, awful we're playing on offense. And for us to be statistically top receivers in touchdowns, top receivers in yards, top receivers in catches, top quarterbacks in yards. And it's amazing for us to be as bad as we are to be having that kind of success. So what happens when all that works? What happens when all that clicks at some point? And when it does...
Last night, the first post-break practice and a couple more this week.
Right.
Did you see things you liked?
I tell you what, the defense kicked our butt up and down the field. We couldn't even get a yard. And I told my offense, one, we got to get better, but two, you're going against the best defense in the league. And, they really got after us, man. They were flying around.
Any defensive roster changes since last game?
We signed Dominique Sanders out of Georgia.
Oh, that's right. You told us a little bit about this. Can you tell?
Yeah, Dominique Sanders, All-SEC, first team out of Georgia. Training camp with the Cowboys, some interest from the Bears. He's a big-time player. And it's a huge upgrade for us. We continue to add. We got about 5 Georgia players now, so it's the most I've ever had.
Athens South,
but go Dogs, right? But they're good men. That's what I like about them. I mean, the recruiting that was up there with Kirby Smart and even Mark Richt, the caliber of character of the guys that I've gotten from Georgia is first class. And you can say what you want to say about them. I'm not a huge Georgia fan. I'm just being honest from what I see from a coach. The characters of those guys are impeccable.
Well, it's been good for our team, and you talk about Shadow Fentang quite a bit.
Shadow Fentang, Rico Johnson. We had Reggie Wilkerson down there for a little bit.
A.J. Harmon,
and now Dominique Sanders, Quavon Hicks. And these guys are all great people, man. Great people.
Meanwhile, you've got you made some mention of some possible upgrades in the kicking game. Is anything official there?
No, man. We're with Blake. We're going with Blake. Blake's leading the league in scoring. So
Blake Erickson.
Until he, everybody can get upgraded, myself included. But right now, he's getting the job done.
Good. That's great. That's terrific. We do have team poster night scheduled for Saturday's game against Carolina Cobras. The Ring of Honor induction ceremony at halftime. Quite exciting. Have you heard from some of the former players yet that might be coming back?
I've heard from one or two. A lot of guys getting in town. We'll see. I really want to make it about the Ring of Honor this time, and I think next year we can really put a lot of effort into making a huge effort to get as many players, especially the older players, not necessarily the ones in the last 2 or 3 years. I'm talking about guys in 08, 9, 10, those guys.
I want to see Jaworski Pollock from year one.
Pollock, yeah.
Only player named after Ron Jaworski, sure.
Jaws.
North Carolina receiver, great guy from that first season. Eugene Goodman, yes. And Joey Conrad, your favorite QB.
And I tell you what, man, I've had some really good quarterbacks. Casey Kaz, Michael Reeve, Joey Conrad. Holy cow! Now Joey Conrad reminds me of the guy that doesn't work out, doesn't lift a weight, shows up, and he's the best player in the field. He was just a pure quarterback. That guy was special, man.
I remember a big center, too, who was the first chef when they opened up Houlihan's downtown. Do you remember who I'm talking about? A big fellow with shaven head like your own.
Troy Bennett?
Yes, Troy, exactly who I'm thinking of.
Oh, big Indian. Yeah, I remember Troy. God, there's a lot of good names. Anyway.
Well, Coach, would you like to welcome a few more of our
finish up these
advertisers
before we get ready for this game this week? Let's talk about the Air Force Reserve recruiting. Sponsors of Pass the Pigskin and Defensive Player of the Game. Watch for a special Air Force Reserve induction ceremony at halftimes of Lions games this season. Texas Roadhouse, home of the fall off the ribs, hearty hand-cut steaks, ice cold beer, legendary margaritas, located at 2970 North Lake Parkway. It's a favorite eating spot of all the Lions players. And of course, Mark at the Overby Company and Shred Away. Longtime copy and print supplier for the Lions office staff at 3 locations. Shred Away documents, shredding, and storage. Protect your business the best way.
And our good friend John Gilbert at Golden Corral, where we eat a lot. The Lions eat a lot.
Can't forget him.
Let's take a moment for a few more commercials. We'll come up and wrap it up shortly afterwards. Thank you for watching Roar Time. Right back with you.
Hi, I'm Charles.
And I'm Tony with Midas here in Columbus, Georgia.
Did you know that 84,000 people in the Chattahoochee Valley go hungry every day? So we partner with Feeding the Valley Food Bank here in Columbus, Georgia. Every oil change feeds up to 5 people, or you can drop off food donations at either one of our locations. Together we can drive out hunger.
Come visit us at either one of our Columbus locations. We're located at 315 13th Street or 1631 Manchester Expressway.
Welcome to the Columbus campus of Georgia Military College. At GMC Columbus, students participate in community events, community service, and student activities. Join the excitement at GMC Columbus, a college for its community. Apply today at gmc.edu.
Every day, men and women from communities across this nation serve as Reserve Citizen Airmen.
I am proud to defend our nation.
Proud to be part of a team that helps make a difference.
I am proud to be part of something larger than me and to serve my country.
We celebrate those who have served and those who are proudly serving in the Air Force Reserve. Our mission is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace.
I am proud to be a member. I am proud to protect our...
Proud to serve in the U.S. Air Force Reserve.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for coming back to the wrap-up portion of Roar Time, this week's Columbus Lions Coaches Show with head coach Jason Gibson, myself, Rick Jacobson. Jason's done his favorite part of the show, time for mine, and I think you like this segment as well. Our players of the game, as we go back almost 2 weeks to the 60-32 loss in Greensboro, not our finest moment, but some certain highlights. And let's start off with who you designated as the Midas of Columbus player of the game.
Paris Mack. Paris had a huge game. I think he had 8 catches for... We had a bad game on offense. He had 8 catches for 140 yards. If we'd hit him a couple more times, he might have had 200. 1 touchdown. Paris continues to be I think Paris is going to be in the running for Rookie of the Year, and he's going to be a special player.
Fantastic. Out of Arkansas, Pine Bluff. And that leads us to the Allstate Insurance Sean McGarry Agency, good hands catch of the game. Was that Paris?
No, Chris Sanders. He caught a sail route going over the wall. It was a great catch. That's the second time he's gone over the wall catching one. So congrats to Chris Sanders, Allstate, Sean McGarry. You're in good hands.
Fantastic. What is the sail route meaning? What is the sail portion of it?
It's like a sail on a boat.
Shape-wise?
Yep.
Okay.
That's why it's called sail.
What are those questions, those ponderables I have from time to time? How about stepping us up with the Sprague Supply, Napa Parts, Offensive Player of the Game?
Paris Mack. I mean, we didn't have a lot of stuff on offense going in that game, so we're going to have to double dip and give it to Paris. And so he just keeps racking up the awards.
Paris, fabulous rookie, and has not had an off week that I can remember so far. How about the Air Force Reserve Defensive Player of the Game?
Demario Donnell. Demario had a great game again. He continues to just be a good vet. He came in from another league last year, and he continues to. He's up there in the league in interceptions. He's a great player.
Now, we've had some wacky winners of this last one here in recent weeks. How about this week's Collision Surgeons of Columbus big hit of the game?
Greg Hall. Greg Hall Jr. out of Auburn, linebacker. He's continuing to. Each week he gets better and better and better. Greg's a staple of our defense. Great character guy, too.
Excellent. With all the credit we gave those Georgia guys just a few minutes ago, it's good that Greg and the Auburn side, all Alabama fans, and we hadn't even mentioned LaMichael Fanning of Alabama. But wow, what a roster full of SEC studs. Well, folks, this almost wraps it up for this week's edition of Roar Time. We want to reiterate that this Saturday, June 1st, 7 o'clock, gates open at 6, but our VIPs, 5:30.
Bud Light Party Zone.
That's right.
Come out there, cornhole, fans, tailgating. Make sure you come out there for the Bud Light Party Zone, brought to you by B&B Beverage, and also remember everybody to drink responsibly.
Just wanted to do a quick recap. A few of our sponsors we have mentioned, a few we have not gotten on the air. Quickly, Air Force Reserve, Allstate Insurance, Sean McGarry Agency, B&B Beverage, providers of Bud Light. Broadwin and Associates, Dr. J always has your back. The chiropractor, Cheetah Bale Bonds. Collision Surgeons of Columbus, Georgia Military College, great client of ours. Golden Corral, Jordan's Girls Gourmet Dogs on 8th and Veterans, Midas of Columbus, Motors Acceptance Corp., Rivertown Buick GMC, Sprague Supply, our Napa parts distributor for this area, Texas Roadhouse, the Overby Company, and Shredaway, and finally USAA, our huge military sponsor. Thank you all for being year-long sponsors of Roar Time. Coach, any final thoughts as we get ready for Carolina?
This is a big game. It's a must-win. We've got to have everybody out there. You know, game starts at 7 p.m. Come out and see Cameron Petway. You know, it's almost like getting a new toy, but we got to make sure he can help jumpstart this offense to get us where we got to be.
Will you use Petway some as a receiver?
I will use him any way I can to get him in the end zone.
Yeah, and is just as we didn't really get to see it, but how is he as a kick returner?
We're not going to see any kick returns because their kicker will kick it out of the end zone. But I don't know. We'll never know. We'll find out.
Okay. All right. Well, vagueness abounds here in some of Jason's late answers, but he's entitled. Folks, thanks for watching Roar Time. We'll be back a week from now with hopeful reports of an outstanding win this Saturday night as the Lions begin their long road trip. And we thank you for watching Roar Time. Join us for the telecast of the Carolina game right now. And next week, we will see you same time, same place. Thank you.